Koenig versus Wolfe. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever you're watching us. I'm Doug Wolfe, and that's Clay Koenig.
Hi, Doug. How are you?
And we're talking bankruptcy.
Yeah, Joanne Fabrics going out of bankruptcy, or I guess
going into bankruptcy.
Going into bankruptcy, that's right, running out of dough. And then I took a look at all these other companies that been around for years and years and all of a sudden folded up their tents.
In your editorial, you mentioned Sears. Of course, they were Sears Kmart. Somehow they merged at some point and made one bad company into two bad companies.
That's right.
And basically, they're gone. I think there may be one Sears in the world left. I don't know if there's any Kmarts left. We had two Kmarts here that I recall, one on Pershing Road and one out by the airport here in Decatur. And then Sears was originally downtown, and then it moved out to the Hickory Point Mall. But they're gone.
And I remember when I was a kid, it was all Kmart, the blue light specials, the whole thing. No such thing as Walmart at that time.
No. So what do you think it was? I mean, I think a lot of it, in some cases, changing technology, trends change. For instance, you talked about Walmart. Walmart took away a lot of the business from these big initially, and now I think it's Amazon. I think Amazon's taking a bigger chunk than Walmart, I would assume.
I always tease my kids, it's going to be the United States of Amazon. Pretty soon. I mean, they're into everything. They're into pharmaceuticals. They're into insurance now. I mean, they're dipping their toes in everything.
Rivian, the big EV, electric vehicle manufacturer up in Bloomington.
Yes.
They're financially backed by Amazon. Amazon's making all its trucks now there in Bloomington, Illinois, and all their delivery trucks in a few years are going to be made up there in McLean County.
For Rivians.
Yeah.
I see them all over the place now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really starting to get some eyes around.
Oh, sure they are. And then, you know, they've had a lot of great companies go under in recent years. The Great Atlantic Pacific Tea Company, which was A&P, they were one of the biggest grocery store chains in the United States, mostly out east, but they were one of the biggest grocery store chains in the United States. They're gone. They don't even exist anymore. In fact, the Justice Department stopped Kroger about a month ago. They were trying to buy out Albertsons, which is a big chain, because of antitrust, because there are becoming fewer and fewer grocery store chains. And down south, I can't remember who took them over, but Winn-Dixie, a big chain down there, was taken over by another grocery store chain, because basically the grocery industry is becoming non-competitive, which drives up prices.
Yeah, I worked with Albertsons when I was down in Texas at a television station there about 20 years ago. Yeah, it was one of my larger accounts.
Well, they still exist. They won't be Kroger.
Right, right. So you talked a little bit about Kodak. Talk about the technology and what happened.
Kodak film was the thing in the film industry. If you wanted to take a picture, chances are you were taking it on Kodak film. They got some competition late from Fuji out of Japan. But Kodak was the film to have because it was the highest quality.
Right.
And they developed the technology for really the first digital stuff. One of their employees came up with the invention of digital, and then they were making just sporadically some digital cameras. But they basically buried it because they were afraid digital was going to cut into their film sales. Well, they were right. Digital did cut into their film sales. Unfortunately, it wasn't their digital. It was everybody else's digital. And Kodak, go try to find some Kodak film nowadays. It's a little tough.
I can honestly say that digital is cutting into everything.
Right, right.
You know, that's the new way. That's the new way. Hey, look, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I've got a great story I got to tell you.
Okay, great. I'll listen to it.
You're watching Koenig versus Wolfe.
Koenig versus Wolfe are back, and Clay, one of the other places that was a big name in the retail industry that I remember, and they used to have a store right downtown, big one, was Montgomery Ward's. Montgomery Ward's was located where Ameren is now. Ameren has a big facility there. But I bought a TV there once at the old Montgomery Ward's here in Decatur. And they were owned by Gulf Oil.
Is that right?
Yes.
I remember my mother and father talking about Montgomery Ward's. That was their go-to store.
It was a great store.
You know, you want to talk about digital and everything like that. There's a story, and it's a fantastic story, but it just shows you the lessons of what has changed in technology. But there was a plane ride when Blockbuster was at its highest, and the CEO of Blockbuster, you've heard the story, was on that plane. Well, there was a fledgling new company called Netflix, and that company's CEO was on the plane as well. And they struck up a conversation. And the guy from Netflix had said, look, you guys have got all these movie titles. What about if we start, instead of people coming to you, we start sending it to them? The CEO from Blockbuster literally almost laughed him off the plane. and said, we're never going to need anything like this. We've got the market locked up. And now we see there's one Blockbuster store left. I think it's in Los Angeles.
Okay.
As nostalgic, but Netflix is the supreme beast.
Right,
you know?
right.
And all that CEO, I mean, striking up a conversation, all he had to do was mesh those movie titles with the send out, and we would have a completely different company.
Well, look at the airlines that have bombed. People's Express, okay? People's Express didn't operate in Decatur, but they operated Brit Airlines, which did operate in Decatur, okay?
Okay.
So what you could do, I would go to New Jersey. You could go anywhere in the country for $99. So
From Decatur.
from Decatur.
Okay.
Or like if you went to O'Hare, it was $99. You could go anywhere in the country. So I would pay my $99 and I would fly home to New Jersey. And People's Express, when you got on the main People's Express, you know how they did the money on the plane? You paid them cash.
Is that
Gave them a
right?
$100 bill, they give you $1 back. They took cash. You can't even get a plane to take cash anymore.
Is that
Or
right?
They would also take credit cards, but they basically took cash. You know, what they called stewardesses in those days, the flight attendants would come around and collect the money. So you could fly anywhere in the United States. You wanted to go to Vegas for a weekend, go up there, here, get on, and you go right down to Las Vegas nonstop.
So
for
they
$100.
folded?
Oh, God, yeah.
Just because of they're not making any money.
They weren't making any money, no.
And how long did that last?
Oh, they were around for at least a decade. They were employee-owned. They were an employee-owned company, I'm pretty sure. And then you had Eastern Airlines, the Wings of Man. They were like the biggest airline in the United States, and they went under. It's just, I think business runs in cycles, you know? I mean, and I think with technology, it's just running cycles faster than we've ever seen before.
So what do you think's on the horizon for these big, I mean, we see a lot of these big companies, after hundreds of years of being in business, all of a sudden they fold up shop. What happens now?
I don't know. Who's the next victim?
I mean, is it going to be conglomerations? You see television companies.
Right.
I mean, you see the two huge ones.
Right.
You know, just continue to buy. There's no more television
Sinclair
stations to buy.
and who?
And Nexstar.
Nexstar, okay.
Those are the two.
Well, I worked here. It was Lynn Broadcasting was a big company
Right.
that I worked here for, and now we're Block.
Yeah, I mean, everything changes.
Yeah, and then I heard some really interesting news about 2 weeks ago on one of the business channels talking about how streaming has not been growing too well lately. It's kind of fallen off a bit.
Well, with COVID, and everybody's getting back outside now, but there are fast channels being created, and that's another editorial.
Okay.
We'll talk about that
What
later
are
on.
fast channels, very quickly?
We're going to talk about that later on. I can't say anything yet.
Oh.
I can't say anything yet. We've got surprises on the horizon coming.
Okay. I'm waiting.
I know you are.
I'll be bugging you the second this is off to hear what the heck it is.
I know you will be. That's okay.
Anyway,
That's your
but
passion.
anyway, there have been a lot of great businesses around for a long time, and they just disappear like that. They really do. Now, Sears and Kmart, they died for about 10, 15 years before they were
A
done.
slow death.
It was. But, you know, a lot of the big retailers, I mean, look at the mall business.
Ugh.
All right? Malls were going up everywhere. All the small businesses all ran out to the mall. Well, it's the same all over the country. They've just basically closed or become something else. There are a lot of malls in the country that now have car dealerships.
Yeah.
In other words, they got all that floor space. It's perfect for a car dealership.
Well, the mall is non-existent. People sit home in their pajamas and they do this,
Right.
and it's delivered right to their door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
Or I sit in the office all day instead of doing work for you and earning you $1. I'm on buying stuff online and having it delivered right to my house.
I didn't hear that part.
No,
I don't know what you're talking
You're
about.
not going to hear it.
Okay, very good.
You're going to hear it from me.
Doug, thanks for everything.
Okay,
I
thanks.
appreciate it.
Good show, and we appreciate you watching Koenig versus Wolfe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.